go do some training, do you ever do a emergency gear extension in flight? Not many people do. Occasionally I do it when I do a VFR. Today, that's what we're going to do. X traffic light Bonanza is taking the active 14 Hicks, depart after it's clear.
And Hicks traffic, Comanche 6803, Papa turning final, 14 Hicks.
Hicks traffic, 4 Foxtrot Whiskey, clear, active, 14.
5 Bonanza on the roll, Hicks. Hi, I'm Scott Perdue, and today on FlyWire, we're going to do an emergency gear extension. It was by request from one of our fans, and I thought, well, you know, that's a great idea. I might as well do that as I contemplate how to quite do the next video in the Engine Out series. The first thing you do is you want to look at the book, Emergency Procedures. Either you got it from here or you have a checklist, something like this, with the emergency procedure on it, and you follow the procedure. You're not in a hurry to do an emergency gear extension. It is just a procedure that you need to follow, and you need to do it well. As a matter of fact, the way I like to do the emergency gear is you got to count them, number one, because you ought to get about 50 revolutions before you get a gear lock. Okay, so count them. But I don't want to do more than about 10 at a time because, man, the first 10 or 30 revolutions, they're not hard. But after that, it gets to be much harder, and you spend a lot of time, a whole lot of bending down, so you're not paying attention to flying, you're not looking at traffic.
It's going to be full stop, Bridgeport.
So you want to, I don't want to say you divide your attention, but you do it in segments, little chunks at a time, 10 or 15. Whatever you want to choose, and your target is around 50, so you want to have it lock around 50, 52, something like that. Depends on your gearbox. So when I look at this handy-dandy checklist that who built this SureCheck, okay, the manual gear extension, the first thing is pull the gear circuit breaker. Why do you want to do that? Well, that's kind of critical because if you had an electrical system problem where all of a sudden it comes back and you have that handle out, then you might break your hand. It might break your arm. It's going to hurt a lot. And you might hurt you probably are going to damage the gearbox as well because especially in the 24-volt airplanes, it moves it fast. When you go from gear up to gear down in 4-ish seconds, that's a lot of mass moving, and your little hand is not going to do much to stop it. So don't spend much time doing that. So the gear circuit breaker comes out. Even if you have a complete electrical failure, the gear circuit breaker comes out. Follow the checklist. It means a lot. Okay, your airspeed below 153. For this airplane, 153 knots is the gear speed. We're about 150 right now. And also first set of flaps, approach flaps. Older airplanes, you want to use your gear speed, but you don't have approach flaps. We're not going to do those anyway, not for landing, or the emergency gear extension, we're not going to do those. Then you put the landing gear handle down. Why do you want to do that? It's sort of connected with the circuit breaker, because we're putting the gear down. We want to have the gear handle down, so if we get electrical back and we're actually going to repower that circuit breaker, then the gear wants to stay down. If we put it down manually, I want it to stay down manually. I don't want it to come back up again. So, and we're also going to do this until we get the landing gear lights are green. I've got 3 green in this airplane, so that's what I'm going to be looking for. And the airplanes with only 1 green, or you have mirrors, use that. You want to go till you get a full down and locked indication, and that should be about 50 turns. And the last thing you want to do is you disengage the manual crank and stow it. You do not want that thing flailing about with when you activate the gear. All it is going to damage the sector gear, and it's very expensive. You know, I think the last time I heard one of those quoted is about $2 grand. So you don't want to do that. So let me check 3-9 landing gear manual extension. Circuit breaker pulled, switch handle down, hand crank cover remove, hand crank turn clockwise as far as possible, approximately 50 turns. Caution. The manual gear extension system is designed to lower the landing gear. Do not attempt to retract it manually. In the air, you're putting way too much loads on it, and why do that? It doesn't make any sense. If the electrical system is operative, check landing gear lights and warning horn. Okay, landing gear relay circuit breaker is engaged. The landing gear relay circuit breaker, that's not the landing gear motor. Okay, hand crank disengage, always keep it stowed when not in use. Warning, do not operate the landing gear electrically with a hand crank engaged, as damage to the mechanism could occur, actually will occur. Do not move any landing gear controls or reset any switches or circuit breakers until the airplane is on jacks. This failure may have been in the gear up circuit, and the gear might retract on the ground. That's if it happened to you for real. You know, when you had a real problem and you have to extend it manually. We're doing the manual extension on purpose, so it doesn't hurt the gear to do that. All right.
How was that, Taylor?
I'm going to slow down here a little bit. We're just hauling ass.
Good timing. Thanks a lot.
So my target speed's about 120. My pattern speed, shooting approaches, all that kind of stuff is 120 knots. So that's about the speed I'm going to use, and it's my target speed. I want things to be as much the same way, same day, through different maneuvers as possible. Not always reinventing the wheel. That's the way I feel about it. Your mileage may vary. You can use the gear as a speed brake. If you need to descend very quickly, actually emergency descent, you want to use the gear down. That's a good thing to do. All right, so we're slowed down now, and the first thing we do is gear circuit breaker pull out. Okay, landing gear circuit breaker. Here it is. It is out. Okay. Airspeed below 153 it is. Landing gear handle down. This is the gear handle. It is down, and nothing moves. That's a good thing. Okay. So I'm going to set a little bit of an orbit. And crank 50 turns counterclockwise. Okay. And I'm going to remove the door. Put it to the side. In the handle. Okay, I'm going to slip a slide orbit here. If you do have autopilot, there's nothing wrong with using the autopilot while you're doing this. Minimize your distractions, etc. That's the important thing. So, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. I have an unsafe flight. That's good. I'm getting a little drag, so if I slowed down a little bit. And the engine's all doing good. I don't see any traffic, so I've got 10 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 20. The letter math, I've slowed down a little bit more. I'm going to add a little bit of power. I want to stay at about 100 knots during this operation. Okay, engine's still doing good. I don't see any traffic. I've got 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that's 30. Everything's still copacetic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, that's 40. It's definitely being much harder to operate. That's 40. Engine's good, no traffic. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, looking for
5,
standard biplane. Standard biplane.
6, 7, 8, 9, 50. Okay, I have all 3 green here. So I have green down and locked right at 50. I'm going to stow the handle. It is stowed. Got the cover back on it, which means it has to be stowed. I got green, 3 green down and locked, gear handle's down. Okay, I'm going to hit the circuit breaker, 3 green. All right, that was our emergency gear extension. And I'm set up, I got 3 green. I can go down and shoot my approach. I still have electric, so I'm going to use my flaps. I'm good to go. I'm going to fly a regular pattern. I did that stuff. That's behind me. I have the 3 green, I got my gear, I'm safe. So let me focus on the rest of this flight, which is enter the pattern and land. No big deal. Had an emergency. Okay, great. It was a gear issue. I got the gear down.
Out,
Safe.
on 2345.
Borland traffic, Y Bonanza, extended left base 417, Borland.
Okay, gear's down, flaps a half.
Borland traffic, Y Bonanza, left base 417, Borland.
Gear's down, flaps are full. Okay, the gear stayed where it should be, down and locked. I know that's what one of the big nervous things.
Borland traffic, Cessna 733 Delta Golf in position for 17, Borland traffic.
Y Bonanza clearing the runway at Borland.
So there you have it. A manual gear extension in the A36 Bonanza. Pretty much all Bonanzas and Barons have the same kind of manual gear extension setup, emergency gear extension, whatever. The important thing I want you to remember from this is that I want you to follow the checklist. I think it's very important. Take your time, don't be in a hurry, follow the checklist. And the POH, what I like over the POH over the abbreviated checklist that you can buy commercially, is that the POH has notes, warnings, and cautions, and those things are the little nuances that'll get you in trouble. So I like the POH. Just take your time, run it, item by item. This is one of those things that you do precisely. You don't necessarily have to zip through it in record time. So run the checklist, and you'll be good. And you get 3 green or 1 green if that's your airplane, and you're good to go. So this is one of those things that you can do on a recurrent basis for training. I'm not saying every month or a year, maybe 2 years, something like that. But it's something you should do every now and again. for your particular airplane. Whether you're flying a Bonanza, a Beechcraft product, or you're flying a Piper or anything else. If it's got retract gear, it's a really good thing to know how to be able to put it down manually and practice that. So, hope you liked the video, and if you did, hit subscribe. That really helps me, and the bell if you'd like for notifications. If you'd like notifications, if there's something you want to see, tell me and let me know what it is, and I'll see if I can fit it in the schedule. If it's a good idea, I'll do it. This is what it's all about. It's just having a little bit of fun and looking at the various things about this airplane, about flying, and about training. I'm all into training. So, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on FlyWire.